Well, hello and welcome back. Oh, it's let me see. Today is Sunday. It is 2 days after our group ride, and we were able to take our Ranger out that we got from Performance East and really have a good time with her until the rain came. And there were some significant things that I realized about the two cars between my RZR 900 S and the Ranger XP 1000 that I thought were pretty significant, and I wanted to document and kind of let everyone know what my thoughts were on it specifically. This is not going to be a technical review. There are not going to be a lot of specifications thrown out there, and all of this is going to be just from my personal experience on the things that I think are major differences between a RZR. In this case, I'm comparing a RZR 900S or 900 Sport, which is the 60-inch model, to a Polaris Ranger XP 1000, and this is the Camo Pursuit Edition. So let's just go ahead and start, and I guess before we do that, I'll tell you the 5 areas that I'm going to be talking to you about. First one's going to be ride comfort. I'll talk to you about kind of the differences between how one of these two ride and how they compare against each other. Then I'll get into throttle response, which I thought was a pretty remarkable or significant difference. I was expecting a little bit more out of the Ranger, but I'll get into that in the future here in a minute. And then usefulness as well, what we can use one of these, or what we can use these cars for. And then we'll get into passenger capabilities. Obviously there's all kinds of different setups you can get in these cars. You can go with 2-seaters, 4-seaters, they have 6-seaters, so we'll talk about that too. And then finally is going to be logistics, and when I say logistics, I mean things such as, how big these things are, what kind of trailer you're going to need for them, if you're going to have to store it, where are you going to store it, things of that nature. All right, so let's just go ahead and begin with ride comfort.
What is up, everyone? We're back.
Man, we're all here at Carolina Adventure World just hanging out. Thanks a lot for tuning in. All right, so when it comes to ride comfort, there are 2 key areas that I want to cover with you, and that's going to be suspension, which is first, and seating. Now, like I said before, the Ranger XP 1000 and the RZR come with different types of suspension setups, and you can buy them in different configurations. So if you're going to go with a Ranger XP or a Ranger, whatever the case may be, just keep in mind that these are not going to be a sports situation. These are built more for work. They do have a good, nice suspension. It will do the job for you, but I will tell you that it's going to be nothing compared to a RZR. I don't even want to talk about the Turbo S. That's probably kind of out of bounds here, because that is just a off-road machine built for incredible suspension capabilities and things of that nature. However, I will tell you that the suspension on the Ranger can be adjusted. It's a little bit stiff right now, and if you do decide to upgrade your wheel and tires like we did, it's going to limit your suspension even more. So with the stock 28s, I think the suspension would have been really good, but I will tell you that it is nothing compared to what you're going to see in a RZR. My trail model came with Walker Evans stock suspensions, and these work really well. Compared to the Ranger, you're gliding through the trails. You're like on a cloud. You do feel the bumps, however, it's much less significant than the Ranger. So when it comes to the suspension aspect, you're gonna tell a major difference between how the comfort is for your ride when dealing with suspension. And they have the same type of shocks all the way around. So what Polaris does is they usually match their shocks from the front to the back, and that goes the same with the Ranger editions as well. Seating is another concern. Not a concern. Let me reword that. Seating is another area you're going to want to consider, specifically if you're going to be buying or trying to decide on which different type of model to buy. Now, I have upgraded Corbeau seats. These are built and made out of California, so mine are much more plush. However, I do have a lot of ride time in my stock seats, and Cody has not yet to even replace his seats. I think his are much more comfortable than mine when I first originally bought them. But the seats from a RZR going over to a Ranger is also going to be significantly different. These they sit up much more. If you can look at this, you can tell there's no type of really recline function here. They're sitting much more upright. Now the driver's seat does go front to back, but the rest of the seats are stationary. They do not move, they do not adjust. And it's the same situation with the RZR, but man, these seats are going to tilt you back a little bit more. You're going to feel a little bit more in the pocket. Nothing compared to a Can-Am. If you've sat in a Can-Am, you literally feel like you're sitting in an Indy race car. I mean, you're so low to the ground. You're sitting so far back. I do not feel like the Can-Ams are comfortable at all. I think they're way too far back tilted for me. It's just my personal preference. But yeah, those are the major differences between the Ranger and the RZR when it comes to ride comfort: the suspension and the seating. And that's kind of what I've seen. Now, the second thing I want to talk to you about is the throttle response. So the RZRs were built for trail riding, off-roading, and going fast. That's really what the point of these things are for, and that's what you get out of the 900 Sport. I have not driven a 900, I have not had taken the opportunity to drive a 1000 XP or a 1000 Turbo S or anything like that. We can. I could just go over the performance piece and grab one, but to be straightforward with you, I don't really feel like we need it. Now, that doesn't mean that when I do finally drive one, I won't want it and think it's significantly an increased or an enhanced ride from our 900S, but this is so good. The response is really good. We don't have ours tuned or anything like that, but they ride really well. Once you put your foot on that throttle, this thing just goes. And I've had mine topped out many times when I was in New Mexico, and I've had mine upwards around 60 to 68 miles per hour. So these things will go really fast. The Ranger XP is going to take you a lot longer to get to where you want to go. It is not a sport utility. It is not a sport vehicle. It was not built to go really fast in a short amount of time, but it will get up there and it will go. So you really have to decide what kind of experience are you looking for, and I think that's really the point here. The low end torque on the Rangers is really good. So if you need a vehicle for pulling a trailer, maybe you go out into the woods and you chop down trees so that way you can have fire in the winter. Maybe you're a hunter and you like to go out and get big game and you need to be able to pull some weight. This is absolutely the car for you. Doesn't mean that the RZR won't be able to do it, but this one will absolutely be able to do it. It's so torquey sometimes. When we were in a full, when we had 6 people in here, I would just touch on the low. I would usually driving low, and I would just touch the gas, and this thing would just jerk you. It's so torquey, good and bad, right? But I think it really comes with driver experience. I bet you if I was to own this and drive it a lot, I would really figure out how to make sure I was light on the gas pedal and things of that nature. But the throttle responses in these two different cars, rightly so, is totally different. All right, so we've gone through the ride comfort. I've talked to you about the suspension and the seating, and then we finally talked about the throttle response. Let's go ahead and talk into usefulness, and kind of like what I was talking about with the hunting and the things of that nature, getting wood for fire in the winter. When it comes to usefulness, the Ranger XP greatly outweighs the things you can do in the RZR. Now, I've seen folks put snow plows on the front ends of their RZR. I've seen folks tow things with the RZR. But when it comes to those types of things, like duties, when it comes to like maybe you live on a farm or maybe you have a ranch, or maybe you just live in the country and you're allowed to drive these things into town to get groceries, or whatever the case may be. The Ranger XP is going to have so much more capabilities. It can tow more. You can put more weight into the bucket. It has a dump bucket feature. The dash and the userability in the interior is super truck-like. So that's one of the things that I really, let me get into the back here. That's one of the things that I really loved about this Ranger, is it feels like a truck. My Ram's right out there, my 3500. I have a 3500 Laramie 2017 Cummins. It is fully loaded. It's got the air leveling system that came stock with the Ram truck. And there is nothing that truck can't do that any other truck on the road can't. Now I don't want to get into those debates about dualies and things of that nature, but I'm talking about single rear wheel trucks. And when you look at this dash is just, it's very functional. It's got 2 glove compartments. Down there, it's really hard to see, but down there is a whole, just a storage compartment where you could put gloves and, you know, maybe a first aid kit, or if you carry a weapon on you and you don't want to put it on your side, you can throw your 9 in there, or whatever the case may be. And then it's got cubbies all over the bottom. Cup holder there, 2 cup holders there, another one there, 2 down here, and then you got 2 back here. So this thing has a total of 8 cup holders. Now, that's a lot of drinks, seeing as how you can only really put 6 people in here. But when it comes to the logistics of this thing, it feels like a little truck. Well, there's nothing little about it, really. It feels like a truck. It drives like a truck. This thing was built to do work, and it can double task, right? So you can do some off-roading. The RZR on the other hand, is really built for sport. It literally has the word sport in its name. So that's what this little thing was built to do. Now you do have a glove box in here too, and a little cargo area there, but that's basically it. If you want to carry anything else with you, you have to put it in the back here, in which I do. I have a nice Rubbermaid tub. I put all my recovery straps. I have a fire extinguisher. I know I do need to mount that fire extinguisher soon, so please don't kill me on that one. But I also have some more space back here to put a cooler. So in New Mexico, we did a lot of desert riding with my buddy Jeremy Fackelman. So shout out to you, buddy, if you're watching. Him and I had a great time, and when we're in the desert, you're gone. You take off and you don't come back to the truck for hours. So you want to make sure you have your cooler with you. And in the front of the Ranger, in the front of the RZR, you also have this little area right here. You can put another storage box right here. Polaris does make one stock. It's about $25. You could probably find it on eBay or Amazon for about 20 bucks, but you can put a little bit more storage up front there. So when it comes for the usefulness, great trail machine, no issues going down tight trails, not too confident going down some trails with the Ranger XP 1000. It's longer, it's significantly longer. So my 900 Sport is 9 feet long, and I believe the 1000 XP is 13 feet long. So we did have a little bit, I was not as confident going on the trails with the Ranger XP that I was with the little RZR, but I mean, it is what it is. Just choose a different trailhead, you know. So it doesn't mean that you have to go down every single trail that I would go down with my RZR, but it's just going to be a little bit different. The use that you're going to be able to do with these two things is totally different. Some the same, but mostly it's going to be different. That leads me to logistics here. Excuse me, let's move on to passengers. So you can buy the RZRs in 4-seaters. You can get a 900 in a 4-seating configuration. But if you are kind of like me and you've been out there riding for a little while and you've been thinking about maybe upgrading to a Ranger XP 1000, you just will have way more fun. If you're the type of person that likes to be with people and take your family out or bring your friends, the Ranger XP, when the Rangers are the way to go, because you can just fit so much more people in them. It's been kind of a challenge for me these last few weeks that I've been building this, because it's kind of a give-take situation. At one point, I'm really interested in this because you can put more people and you can have more fun with it. But on the other side, there are logistical issues that I've came into contact with that we'll talk about here in a second. But my personal opinion is the more people, the more fun you're gonna have. So take with that what it is. I'm not exactly sure what folks are doing with these videos or with this specific video that I'm putting out today, but it makes a difference. It makes a difference. When you're out with one person, it's fun, but it's funner if you have more cars. So if there's more RZRs or more side-by-sides or four-wheelers, that is fun too. But when you're actually in the same vehicle, you get to talk to one another. You can make jokes. Everyone's laughing and have a good time. Only one person has to drive. So if that person ends up being the designated driver, 5 of your friends can go out and drink, and have a good time and not worry about who's going to drive home. So it just depends on what it is you want to do. All right, well, now that we're talking about logistics, let's move on to my very last main point here, which is the differences in logistics with this thing. And I'm talking more specifically about storing these and trailering them to the trail, if that's what you have to do. Now, as I said earlier, some of you might live on a farm, or you might have a ranch or something like that, and you may be considering, hey, should I get a Ranger or should I go with a Can-Am? Or Textron has these UTVs as well. I will tell you, this thing, compared to those other two, it just looks better. The functionality of it is nice. I have had an opportunity to look at the other two. I have not driven them yet, but I will tell you I'm very satisfied with the Ranger. However, this is a big machine. This is as big as Jessica's Jeep. Jessica has a 15 Grand Cherokee Altitude, and her Grand Cherokee and this Ranger are the same exact. A little bit, the Ranger's a little bit shorter than the Grand Cherokee, but that's by like inches. So I will tell you that this is going to take some room. If you're putting it in a garage or a barn, it's going to take a significant amount of room. Trailering as well. I have a 10-foot trailer for our RZR, and I couldn't fit the Ranger on it, so I had to borrow a trailer from Performance East to even get this thing home. And then once I got it home, I needed to borrow a trailer from a friend to take it out to Busco Beach. So there are some concerns there with storing this and trailering it. If I was to trade my 900 in for a Ranger, I would have to park both of my vehicles outside because my garage is just not big enough for both of them. I don't know if that's entirely true. I would have to try and see if they could fit in there, but it's possible. I might be able to squeeze my Ranger over here and the Jeep over here. But I like a lot of space in my garage, so it might make my garage a little bit tighter, because currently what I do is I tuck my RZR over there into the corner and I put my Jeep here in the center, and it leaves me a lot of room to kind of do things without having to move Jessica's Jeep in and out. If I was to have the Ranger, I might have to put them kind of both side by side. It would make things a lot tighter in here, especially for Jessica when she's coming in and out from work and things of that nature, and parking the Jeep inside. So yeah, those are my main concerns. Those are my main differences, and basically like a top 5 differences between these two rigs here. All in all, if you get either one of them, you're going to be very happy with it. I've had nothing but fun. The only bad part about owning these things is you see all that mud and that sand up in there. I got to wash all that stuff off now. Cody and I, we keep our cars nice and clean. They're like showroom floor clean. So every time after a ride, we go out and we usually come over here and spend about 2 to 3 hours washing these things off. That's another downside of this Ranger's. It's gonna be a lot bigger. It's gonna take me a little bit longer to wash it off, but all in all, ride comfort, throttle response, usefulness, how many passengers you can carry with you, and the logistics of storing it and trailering this thing around. Anyway, those are the top 5 things that I found that were significantly different between these two rigs. And all in all, they're both really good cars. I've had nothing but fun in each of them. And I think depending on which one you decide to go with, you're gonna really enjoy it and you're gonna have a good time. So thanks a lot for checking us out today. Please give us a like and share us if you get an opportunity to do that. And we'll catch you around real soon.